Welcome to the broadcast. This is What's Up, Doc, with Dr. Keisha. AskDrKesha is the YouTube channel and page. Listen, do me a favor. I got some wonderful things to share with you on today. But before we get started, go ahead and like this video. Give me some hearts if you happen to be watching from our Facebook page. I'm going to be streaming to multiple platforms. So I just want to thank you in advance for supporting this. And I also want to encourage you to share this video. Either you can share this video or you can go to the original video and you can go and share her video. But please, we need to spread the word. We really, truly do. That's why this is important to me. I don't generally jump on all the things that go viral. I just kind of like hone in on things that are either close and dear and near to my heart. And if I feel led, I will speak on it. And so the moment I heard about this particular case of KarmeloAnthony and the young man that was, unfortunately that passed away, when I heard of the incident, of course, my heart went out to everyone involved. These are young people in school, that are very passionate, that are very high energy. They're athletes. They have a lot of energy, right? And then again, depending on the circumstances, depending on how people were raised, depending on the why, things can go left real quick, fast, and in a hurry. I am an educator by trade. I've been teaching for a lot of years. I want to say a combined 25 plus years in the educational system in some capacity or another. I have a doctorate in educational leadership. So I've been in educational settings where students were fighting and or having to break up things, or see students be very ornery to adults and cuss, each other out, cuss us out and all the things. So I've experienced more good than bad, I would say. From students. I have a love for students. I have a love for education. And so this is definitely close and near to dear to my heart. I couldn't even imagine being a teacher or a coach or an administrator, or what have you, superintendent of schools. I just could not imagine, being a staff member and having to deal with this, because it doesn't just affect the parties that are involved in this case, but it also affects the community. It affects everyone. Because everyone's, a neighbor, family member, a peer, it affects everyone. It really, truly does. And so my heart truly goes out to the community. And what's unfortunate about the circumstance, and everyone has said that it could have been avoided, perhaps, if, decisions of different choices were made, if there would have been more of a, adult presence, in certain places and spots during that time. But again, woulda, coulda, shoulda, right? And so I'm sure everybody's feeling bad. And I'm sure, everybody, those that especially were present on that day, or even parents wish they could have attended the championship, because I believe it was a track meet. And so I'm sure everybody's like, being hard on themselves for not being there, not whatever, again, you can't go back in time and change anything. So some people are like, well, the verdict has already been given. He's already in prison. Why even continue this conversation? Well, unfortunately, the information that was shared during the course of that hearing is not lining up with the conversation surrounding a full video that people seen sometime last year. There seemed to be conflicting witness statements and things of that nature. And the family of KarmeloAnthony is appealing the case. And so there are a lot of questions about how this case was handled. Again, my heart goes out to all parties involved, to the family that lost their son. My heart goes out to them as well. But, unfortunately, when it comes to these kind of cases, you kind of have to get to the root of the why this happened in the first place. And someone said it, and I'll say it, and I agree. There are no winners in this case. Even if, and I hope and pray justice for Karmelo, because I don't believe that he murdered him. I just don't believe it. I believe that he was harmed. Of course, he obviously passed away, unfortunately. Again, heart goes out to the family. But somehow or another, as information continues to come forward, there's a lot of twists and turns to this. As new facts are being discussed based on eyewitnesses that have actually seen the tape, it's constructing a different narrative that happens to support with Karmelo's family's case of his innocence, that it was self-defense. It seems to be supporting that. So we're going to look into this. Shout out to LaKeysha for allowing me to use her video. She did it earlier today, and I happened to stumble upon it. And when I stumbled upon it, they were like, I think it was like halfway in the interview. And so I reached out during that interview, sent her a super chat of $10 and say, hey, is it okay for me to use some of this footage or use the footage? I will practice fair use, and I'll be sure to cite you. Again, reference her video, direct people over to her channel so that she can obviously get the credit for that. And then also have the conversation the way I feel led to have the conversation. This is a faith-based platform. And so, of course, because it is faith-based, we're praying for everybody. That's just how it goes. But I do believe that Karmelo needs to be freed. I believe he needs to be freed because this is a series of unfortunate events. And we're going to take a deep dive, right, into, again, another eyewitness of that video, because the video tells the story. So it's very unfortunate that this full video that is about to be described was not the video, unfortunately, that the people saw in the court, that the jurors, they did not see this full video. They saw a distorted portion of this video, but they did not see the video that this interviewee is about to describe in just a few moments. So first and foremost, again, I just want to welcome each and every one of you. Thank you so much for watching and for listening. Please do your due diligence and remember me. Subscribe to the channel, like this video and all the things. Please tag a friend if you happen to be watching from Facebook, and or share, please. We want to get the word out. I think the more clarity that we have concerning this, and the more people that have more clout, because this is a smaller channel, but we want to try to get it out to as many folks that have larger platforms and get it out and make it go viral. It doesn't have to be my video, but the actual video itself, the conversation itself, that it can go viral, so that more people can be made aware that there's actually more to this story. Unfortunately, that trial did not do this case justice, unfortunately. All right. So we want to speak to that. Before we go into it, there's one more thing. I want to shout out the company man. Shout out to Justin. Thank you so much, Justin, for viewing the video that I made previously on this, the one before this. Shout out to him watching it. I really do. It was a pre-recorded, so I just happened to be in the chat. And sometimes I'm not even in the chat, but I felt really led to really go in the chat to see if there would be anyone watching it. And he just so happened to not only watch it, but he made a couple of comments on the video. So I just wanted to shout out the company man. Shout out to him, Justin Hunt. Shout out to him. And also, I want to thank him for resharing Kesha's video. I shared that, right? Like I said, while I was watching it, I reshared the video. And so shout out to him, and actually tagged him so that he can see it, because we were having conversation about the facts of the case of the previous one. Let me just go to my page real quick. I just want to make sure we had, okay. Yeah, so we had, perfect. Did I? Hold on, y'all. There he is. Okay. Yes. So we were having a conversation in the chat, and I was like, yeah, there's definitely more to the story. And so when I saw that 𝐿aKeysha was doing an interview, I made sure to tag him. Again, he has way more followers than me. He has a lot more, you know what I mean, motion, as they say, than I do. So I was like, hey, Justin, I found a video that you might be interested in watching, and shared it. And then he also shared it. So listen, we are getting the word out. So let me go ahead and share this part. All right. Again, shout out to LaKeysha. Keisha, let me just take out the comment section because that's not necessary. We just want to focus on the conversation here at hand. Now she's going to do the same thing that I'm going to do. She is going to be stopping and having the conversation. Shout out to Dwayne. Again, shout out to him because number one, he didn't have to do this interview. Number two, you know, again, everybody's kind of putting themselves at risk because unfortunately racism is a real thing, you know. And you know, there's some very evil people out there that wants to harm people because of them being people of a different persuasion, because they come from a darker hue. You know, it's ridiculous, but unfortunately, people are very evil out there, some folks, and they will try to intimidate you, discourage you, and or if they could, harm you. And it seems like people are harming people, again, just without impunity. Just seems like they're just running amok out there. And it seems as if that's our society has been telling people that that's okay. And so that's a problem for us as a Black community. And so we need to just be mindful. But at the same time, we've never been afraid to speak truth to power, nor have we been easily intimidated by people that are wicked and evil. And so it is what it is. But we believe in God's divine protection. So, of course, I am praying for all of the families. I am praying for those that decide to come forward to tell their truth, and preferably justice will prevail. And I know people say, well, why would you say that? Because, again, there are a lot of things that are being hidden because there's a lot of missteps. And instead of taking responsibility and being honest, I think that they're making Karmelo the fall guy. And I think that that's not right. And, you know, the Bible says that, you know, that sin is a reproach to any people, you know, so, and he says righteousness exalts a nation, but sin is a reproach to any people. So, you know, if you're, you know, a person in position like a judge and you decide to wink and to have favoritism, you know, and, you know, decide to be blind to the truth so that you can lean on your friend, that's not appropriate. You know, and so anyway, enough of my commentary because I'm going to do plenty of it. Warning, this may be a long video, so feel free to come back to it if you can't endure the length of this, because I want to try to get it in. I believe she spoke almost an hour before he came in the chat, and I believe the interview is about 2 hours long, so it's about an hour and some change. What I'll do is I'll try to skip over a lot, just so that, you know, we can have the conversations and just kind of, you know, just stick to the interviewees' talking points. All right, so I think I'm ready. Are you? If so, go ahead and again, like this video, make a comment in the chat. Tell me your thoughts about the case thus far. Tell me if you just discovered this or if you've been there from the beginning. Tell me where you're watching from. Tell me. We want to have the conversation, how you feel and think about what it is that we're about to hear and what's about to be shared. All right. Are we ready? All right, let's go. Again, shout out to Keisha. I'm going to be sure to put all her information in the description section. It will be there for you to go to the original video. And please, by all means, subscribe to her channel, like her video, the original video, and support what she has going on, because she's definitely staying on top of this, and as we should. And I would definitely encourage those of you all that have a platform, those of you all that have, you know, socials, you're on these apps, let us have the conversation. Just make sure that you're not spreading misinformation try to confirm all the information that you're sharing so that you're not caught up and or being accused of spreading misinformation. Okay, just do me that solid and do that. But let us continue to have the conversation. Again, justice for Karmelo.
Oh, hello. Thank you for joining us.
Hey, how are you doing today?
Thank you so much. And I apologize because I know you're on a different time.
Okay, so she's apologizing about, the time zone. I guess they were trying to connect because I think I was in that video where she was expecting for him to do an interview with her like previously. And I think he had to cancel because there was a conflict of schedule. And in that video, she seemed to be a little disappointed, and rightly so. But finally, they were able to connect. So I'm glad. And here we are. So let's go.
Now serving a 35-year prison sentence. But what has started to come out is that everybody is saying, wait a minute, the video that they showed in court is not the full video. So now a lot of people are saying the same thing. And I know, because I actually sent you a screenshot of what I received back from the district. We now know that nobody now can see this footage, which generally, after the case has concluded, generally they will just send it out. But now we know no one can actually see the video. So one of the reasons that I wanted you to come on is because you have saw the video. I know you have saw the video because you not only have saw the video, you have provided me your email from the school district that states you saw the video. You've also provided me with another list of everybody that saw the video.
So it's great that they have these checkpoints, right? The confirmation of seeing the video. So there shouldn't be a question, right, as to whether he's seen the video, she's seen the video, them over there, whether they saw the video, because there's a list of folks that signed up, requested to see it under the Freedom of Information Act. They requested to see it, and I believe this was sometime last year. This might have been like right after. I think when things, I'm not sure. I think they seen it sometime last year, which was smart that they all had a chance to see it. And I think there's a thing where somebody actually recorded it while seeing it. I think that might come up later, and I think that's also circulating. And I think that it's true, but I think that they're trying to it's important to know your rights. It's important to know your rights because I think. They're low-key trying to reprimand her for doing so. But to my understanding, that is acceptable. That was okay. Like she did nothing wrong. But I think they're trying to spin it to make it as if she did because they don't want the public. They don't want the general public. They don't want it to go viral. And to me, that's very strange, right? Because generally during this type of case, they want, they usually play it on a loop, right? The video of all the things. They usually play it on a loop. Fox and CBS and CNN and NBC, and they're usually playing it on a loop. Now it's like everything's hush hush. So is concerning. Should we be concerned? Absolutely, because it really speaks to the fact that they're really trying to hide something.
And your name says you saw the video, so I know that you actually saw the video. So I want you to start by telling me, when did you see the video? Like, I would assume it was last year, right?
It was last year in June. I saw it in June.
Okay, so that was literally a year around about, because now we're in June. Today is June 16, 2026. And so he's seen it last year, June. All right, so which was good because again, it wasn't as hot, like hot grease, like hot fish grease. Now it's hot. Like this whole conversation is off-putting. It's getting toxic. So but when they saw it, obviously their community was, all like feeling away because of everything that happened and transpired. But that was the best time to see it before it became public. And now, obviously we're having conversation all over you know, the United States of America, and it could be even international at this point. So he said he saw it. Let's listen to some more.
Of last year.
Okay. Can you explain what that process was like?
Yes, you had to put in what they call a FOIA request, a Freedom of Information Act, or request for information, or PIR, public information request. And once you put that in on their website, they would actually acknowledge that you put it in, and you would get contacted by one of their administrative people to set up a date and time for you to come. And they'll give you some available dates, and you'll choose from those dates or say, I can't, what are the dates you have? And once that process is done, you actually set a date. They confirm that date is set. You go in, and once you get there, it's at the administration building, the Frisco ISD administration building in Frisco, Texas. And once you get there, you have to, they have a little camera system outside, so you have to kind of acknowledge that you're there. They let you in the building, you give you your driver's license, and they scan it into the system. And once they scan it into the system, they create you an ID badge with your driver's license picture on it, and it says your name and has that you're a visitor. Once that's the case, then what they'll do is they'll have somebody come get you, and they have to take you up to the floor where they have the viewing at. And so it's in a conference room. At the time that I was seeing it, only one person was going at a time. Later on, they had 2 or 3 or 4 people going at a time as they started getting more requests. But once you've seen the video and you've viewed it, they actually send you confirmation to let you know, because by law, they have to let you know that your PIR or your FOIA request has been closed. And so they send you an email that states, hey, this serves as a receipt that you have seen the requested video, and thank you for your time, and they go on about their business. So there is a process, and anyone that's seen that video outside of the snippets that they showed in court to the people in the court, and the snippet of a video that they showed the actual jury, you had to go see it at Frisco ISD because it's property of Frisco ISD. It didn't.
Thank you. And that was another conversation, again, like someone had indicated that, you know, basically that's not true, right? Telling me that it's not true, but it is property. You can't take the property of an institution, of an organization. You can't do that. They can give you a copy of it, but they don't have to necessarily. Some people may surrender it because it's, you know, what do I have use? But no, there were other things that was on that video as well. So to me, I mean, it's completely understandable as to why the school did not want to completely give away all of the footage to them, that all things that happened on that day, because it might have been other situations that happened on that day, right? So to me, it was a great call for the superintendent of schools, or maybe the board of school, the school district, making a decision. You know what? We're going to just provide a copy, but we're going to continue to house this. We're going to continue to keep this in our records. I think that was a smart choice, because now we see them contesting, right? The family contesting the decision because of how everything was being presented and how he was being served. He was not properly being served. So it is great that he's discussing and sharing with us the details of the process, which confirms that he did indeed see a video, the school's footage of the incident that is being questioned. All right. So again, there should be no question at this stage of the game as to whether this person is authentic or not, an authentic witness of the full video that, again, the jury did not have access to. He had access to the full video that the jury did not have access to. Why is that important? Because unfortunately, there were key things that happened in the full video that the jurors did not have access to, that they did not know, they weren't aware of. And so the way that the case was framed against Karmelo made it appear as if he was guilty of whatever they were claiming that he was guilty of, which was the M, right? But again, if you were to watch that video, the full one, you would probably walk away with a different understanding. And so that's going to come out too. I think there's a couple of other people, witnesses, that are also going to speak to that in this video as well. There's another elderly woman. I think they're going to highlight her. I personally wouldn't show her face. If let's say the people that did decide to videotape her because they did ask her if it was okay, but they've already started like videotaping her before they asked her. So like, instead of stopping the video, they continued to video, even though she was basically kind of sharing that she wasn't really comfortable with being recorded. I think they should have just, as a courtesy, blocked her face. And so what I'll try to do is just block out that piece and not show her. But if we can just hear the conversation, like hear what she has to say instead, just to respect her privacy. Because again, this is getting nasty, y'all. This is getting nasty, right? And so we just want to protect those that feel like, you know what, they want to tell the truth, they want to be honest, but they don't want to be harmed, you know, they don't want to be harassed, and rightly so. And rightly so. They want to, you know, keep their privacy, and rightly so.
It doesn't belong to the parents. It belongs to the general public through Frisco ISD. And so that's one misstep or information piece that people put out there, that this video would be readily available elsewhere. Normally, since it is a school district, you could just actually put in a request like I did in the beginning to actually get a copy of the video, and they send it to you. But because this was a moment that they knew that they were going to do what they did, they actually said no at first to people that they were not going to show the video, but then they realized they had to show it. And so that's when they allow people to come in and see it, because it works as the same, that you can show it to you or release it to you. But ultimately, once the case is over, you have to release the footage because it's public information.
Now, just for clarity, Frisco ISD stands for, Frisco obviously is the name of the city, village, whatever it is, the community. And then there's the ISD, which stands for Independent School District. So when he says that the footage is housed with Frisco ISD, it is housed with the Independent School District. Okay, they have the footage there. But I agree that the community should have access to it because, again, they have a right to know.
And so that's kind of where we are now, is that the information should have been released. I know myself and others that had requests in, we just did follow-up emails to remind them that we had it. But I also put in fresh requests too for not only that video, but also other video. And I'll explain that probably later on in a couple of months or something, once we get some litigation done. But once we did that and start getting putting the request in for the transcripts and all those different things that you do, the lady was actually getting me copies of the court case when I was there that morning after he was sentenced and everything. Then all of a sudden I seen a lady run from the back, and she stopped her, because that's when they noticed that everybody was requesting and they wanted to seal everything. So the rule of thumb is right after these cases, you want to get the information quick, because most of the time when they're hiding something, it takes them a few hours to get their mind right to start sealing stuff. And so I almost got a copy of stuff before they did it.
Wow.
Yeah, we'll see if they release those. We already really have transcripts, because most of the news media did a good job of doing a minute by minute moment of what was said. But as far as the video, they're relying off of the actual ruling that our Attorney General in Texas, Ken Paxton, gave them last year. It's not a new ruling. So I want to let people know that, and let's be clear. It's not a new ruling. Ken Paxton didn't say, hey, let's just stop it. He didn't do that. They're relying, Frisco ISD is relying off of his ruling from last year. And if any—
Okay, so the limitation of access was through a ruling from last year. Okay, so I guess the way things are being presented, which I'm glad that he said that, because he is clarifying that the ruling was not made yesterday or last week, right? Because of the heightened sense of awareness and everybody coming into the know. Oh, this video is another video. There's a fuller video. Oh my God, I want to see it. No, he said this was a ruling made last year. So that's good to know that it's not due to the hype. You know what I mean? I think that because of the nature of the case, you know what I mean? And also the peoples that are involved, I think they're trying to protect people. And so, but at the same time, it's at the expense of someone that isn't being protected in this case. And he's having to potentially serve time for something that he may or may not have done. And that's going to come out a little bit later. All right. Meaning that in the video, there's some information that is revealed of what really happened during that day. All right. And it's not as clear cut as what it was described. It's not as clear cut as that. And that's why everybody was so anxious and so interested in the full video, because I believe even the jurors still had questions about the video because whatever they saw wasn't sufficient. They still had questions about a lot of things. All right. And the full video gives more context. And unfortunately, again, they didn't have access to that. So basically, it just they made their judgment based on what was presented and based on what everyone is saying, including the family, is that there wasn't a nice or decent presentation on Karmelo's side. Like the attorney
Everybody has that letter. You can read it. It'll tell you the date. And it says 2025. And so we have to just basically appeal it to the to Ken Paxton, the attorney general, let him make a ruling. And based on his ruling, then we can sue, or he'll make them give us the video out because they really don't have no standing. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So I apologize. I did not
So we're going to be waiting on that video.
introduce you because I didn't know if you wanted people to know your name.
Dwayne, look about that light. Listen.
Dwayne, for the people that's asking me,
Wayne.
guy that went viral. I didn't know who he was. I just was on social media and I saw this video, and you know, he's been out there talking about seeing this video. And what I was saying, guys, is he showed proof. A lot of people are.
Yeah, I think it is important to confirm, you know, whether whoever it is that you're going to talk to about this case, that they have a good standing and they actually are eyewitnesses and can confirm what is true or what isn't true, because it's a lot of misinformation out there about the case.
Why do you think, Dwayne? Because you kind of spoke on, originally you can go see the video, right? But now, why do you think all of a sudden they're saying you can't see the video? They have already shown this video to people.
Well, they were showing it up until, I want to say, was that June or July? It was toward that moment they were still showing it. We had a young lady with her group on TikTok, led by some of the people on the Metcalf side, decided they were going to go in and film the video, and they got caught. And when they got caught, it gave Frisco ISD and the DA cause to actually stop the.
Okay, so he said it was the Metcalf side that was videotaping the video.
Of the illegal activity of trying to film the video, that they were going to stop everyone from having access to view it. Now, in that light, it is not in the state of Texas illegal for someone to film a video in a public place when they have been invited in to see it. So that means that every one of us that went to go see it, we could have filmed it. And we just didn't really pay attention that we could have, but we could have. They had the right to refuse to show it to us, but we had the right to film it. And so when this young lady tried that, everybody was saying she needs to go to jail, all that stuff. And I kept telling her, need to pause, because now I read the law. The law said that she had a right to do so because she was invited in. But they used that as that reasoning. So myself and others contacted them and told them, you need to continue to show it because you said illegal and criminal, and nothing she did was either one of those things. So we started fighting them on that, and that's still an ongoing battle. They know that time is always on their side. It's never on our side. So when they do something, they know it takes a while for you to fight and get them to.
Yeah, it's going to take a while to undo what they've done. And so it's like, yeah, it's a waiting game.
It was a concerted effort from the beginning. They just didn't know what to do because they didn't expect for so many people to be interested in this.
Of course, they always underestimate us.
We don't be interested. We'll be like, what happened to that boy? And then a month later, we're asking, hey, whatever happened to little 𝐼𝐴𝐴𝐿𝐼𝐴𝐿𝐼𝐴? Did he get locked up? But in this situation, since a lot of us live in this area and live here, I live in Little Elm, and Frisco is right. It's our sister city right next to us. Some of my kids go to their schools. Some of their kids go to our schools. We were privy to that moment from that day. I was actually in the area when it happened. And so we were getting real-time information from the schools, from parents, from all of that. So it made us interested, even though a lot of people in this community wasn't paying attention until he went to trial. But there was a few of us that got interested. We dug in, started figuring out what was what. When we saw the video, we've been advocating for him.
That's good. That's good.
Displacement. I just moved into another house from being displaced in November, right after.
That's crazy. So they've been harassed and everything because they've been advocating for the Anthony family.
The righteousness of our people is more important to me than my safety or peace of mind in my bed. So that's kind of why I spoke up to this moment.
Okay, so this is a good place for us to kind of go into some of that now, without saying anybody's name, because we don't want to give these agitators and these liars any more ammunition. Now,
let me go ahead and do the caption on this because, again, out of respect to her, I'm not trying to utilize all of her video, but I really want him to respond to these questions. I mean, he just can't go to a million platforms and repeat all the talking points, you know? So this is a way by which we can kind of get it out. Again, being respectful to her platform, being respectful to the fair right, whatever the rules are on YouTube, we want to be respectful, but at the same time, we really want to hear this gentleman. We really, truly want. And I also want you to go to her platform, to go to her page and to go to her channel and support what she's got going on, because I believe that, you know, she is doing her due diligence, you know, at you know, getting to the bottom of this, you know what I mean, getting to the truth. So she asked him a question about the advocacy.
Tragedy, to be honest with you, I guess is the word I can choose. It's been tragic, and not only for myself, but a lot of people who were advocating for this family, because I started in April advocating for him when it happened. And so from being doxxed to people calling my business phone, trying to get me fired from my home business, to, you know, people showing my house, being locked up by people that were advocating with me, which I thought it was the people on the other side doing it, but I found out through court records, it was actually some people that were advocating with us on this side that.
Wow. So basically they were using using plants, people to kind of derail. That's crazy, bro.
Talking about Dominique Alexander, who was the, and still is, the spokesman for the family. And I will say this about Dominique, that man has been solid from the beginning, and he's been the same now till yesterday, because I haven't seen anything about him today. And so I know people have their understanding and their feelings, but a person that's a spokesperson is only that. They're your spokesperson.
Okay, so they're talking about Dominique. Again, I'm not familiar with who the advocates were. I know that there was a lady that was from like the Black Panther Party. She's the one that's kind of been doing a little bit of background on the judge and on the DA, and she's been spilling the tea with regards to them. And we reported on that the last time, some of the things that have come up. But there was some like conversation about the lack of advocacy and support, and you know, of course there's the blame game, you know, being that, you know, the judgment has, you know, the judge ruled, the jury decided, you know, what the punishment would be. It's excessive to most folks believe is excessive. And so, you know, now it's the blame game. So I think whoever the advocacy, Dominique, and those that were a part of that clique, that crew in the beginning, were being scrutinized because of, you know, I guess people felt it was a lack of advocacy.
Well, but of course, we're still not going to reveal names. You have people there that's telling you stuff, right? Is that correct? So you have people there. So when he says he knows this, it is because he has inside sources, guys. I just want to lay that foundation, because we'll get deeper into it, because you know, you have people that, and how interesting is it that you said that he was going to get 30 years and he got, was it 35 years? Is that what he got?
Correct. I just needed to back up. Okay.
So he was being interrupted because of something going on about him. He's doing an interview in a car. But yeah, so again, him speaking to some of the challenges during that time when they started doing the advocacy. Okay, so that's what he's doing. And so he's speaking to that. He's speaking to some of the, I guess, the pushback, again, the blame game. They're blaming, you know, the advocate. They're blaming the attorney, of course, that didn't properly do his job and defend, you know, Karmelo. So, you know, again, and people, you know, are feeling away.
There out at the courthouse, and he had been found guilty. I had people who came out of their houses that came to greet us and to come pull us to the side and say, hey, we never thought that he was going to be correct. I just needed to.
Let me start over, guys. We missed a key piece of just some of the things, some of the nuances of this.
I'm just asking these police had somebody pulled over, so I didn't want to be in their way. But yeah, so I do have people that I speak to and that I know. And so in those moments, hold on just a second. I'm just going to ask them right quick.
Okay.
All right. So I went back a little bit too far. So yeah, so basically he's just telling how, you know, again, this is really, it's very sensitive to the community.
That was some of Lil M's finest. They had somebody pulled over and like they're doing a warrant check. So I just wanted to make sure I was out the way. But yeah, so I do have people that I know that's on all sides that I had a privy to talk to.
Right.
Even at the day that we were there out at the courthouse and he had been found guilty, I had people who came out of their houses that came to greet us and to come pull us to the side and say, hey, we never thought that he was going to be convicted, because they had no case. So we took money to do agitating stuff, to do this, to do that. And so these individuals are willing to go on record and say what they know and know what they say. And I guess I'll put it that way. So yes, I do have people that I've talked to throughout the year and some change. I have people that have come to me and have emailed me and have called me since then that have information on all the people that we only suspected was doing some stuff nefarious to this family. And
So again, there were people that are constantly working against the family, working against the case and the advocacy, that they confessed that they were paid to be those type of people that would try to hinder their progress.
I used to. And so they have to trust people. And if people don't understand that, then they need to just get a life, because you do have to go through things sometimes that you don't understand. And they trust a lot of people.
Again, a lot of criticism for the Anthony family, which is ridiculous to me, because if you've never been through this before, how would you know what to do? Exactly what he said. Who would you know to trust? You know what I mean? So I think we need to stop being too hard on this family. Again, they don't obviously they don't have a criminal background. So it's not like they're knowledgeable of the criminal justice system. Hello? Dun, dun, dun. It's not that they're like uber duper knowledgeable of it. So let's slow down. All right. I've heard all kinds of really nasty things about this family, and I'm really clueless as to why, especially Black folks. Why are we coming so hard on these people? They did the best that they could with the information they had at the time. They're already probably hard on themselves. Let's calm down a bit. Give these people some grace. Oh my goodness.
Did not think that he was going to actually get convicted. So they took the money, did what they were doing, but now that he has been convicted, they feel sorry.
They feel convicted. Okay, so I guess these were, was they saboteurs, those that are trying to sabotage, provocateurs, people that would try to go and sabotage, that sort of thing. People, I get it that these are hard times, but not all money is good money, okay?
Because he knew as a young person what really happened. And so he was like, hey, free summer money for me to be able to go and buy stuff and do stuff. But it's just a moment to where you get to a place to where you're trying to figure out this whole space. And I think that's why so many emotions were so high. They were very high. You had people crying. You had news media crying out there at the courthouse.
Because the kids are not really understanding the consequences of things, because their brains are not fully developed. All of them are young. You know, Karmelo was young, 17. The young man that was unalive, 17. These are all teenagers. They don't understand the weight of, I'm just gonna go in court and just tell them whatever they want me to tell them. Okay, you know, it's like, I'm gonna get these coins, give me some new Jordans. Like they're not really thinking, because they don't understand. They haven't lived enough to understand the consequences of their choice and what this really translates to mean.
Some type of, yes, go ahead, man.
I just want to say this. Those names that you have stated, I've heard some stuff. So.
He's talking about the judge. He's going to talk about the DA. He's going to talk about some of the background stuff that came out. We already talked a little bit about that in the previous video, when the lady, the advocate from the Black Panther Party came forward. She did her due diligence, her research on, you know, the powers that be and all the rumors and things that are the allegations that are surrounding them. So that's what they're making reference to.
Express motivation to do what they did to Karmelo. Because if you really investigate this case, Hunter, EP, who is Ed.D, the guy that testified, Chris, Ant, I'll just say his nickname, Ant, and a few others would be the ones in jail for the murder of Austin Metcalf. Because that's.
Let's pause. Hunter, Ed.D, there was a few other few young people that were mentioned. He said they will also be implicated because they had a role, they had a part. Unfortunately, the narrative concerning this case was framed that it was a one-on-one. But based on the video that he viewed last year and others, there's more folks that were involved in this, and it is evidence that it wasn't a one-on-one. It was actually more like 4 or 6 on 1. It was a 1v6, okay, type of nuance that they were trying to jump him and attack him based on the video.
How the law reads in Texas. And if you're during the commission of a felony and you call and one of the people, the perpetrators are unalive, at that point in time, all of you become guilty of that greater crime, which is the unaliving or the murder. Yeah.
I said that before you joined. I said, look, because I always tell them I'm not a lawyer.
Yeah. So basically, all the parties, all the young people that was involved in that incident should have been charged and then investigated to find out what happened. But unfortunately, none of that was done.
Can you tell? Now, I know you spoke about different people being paid to do different things, but they did not realize that this was going to result in a conviction. Talk about the agitators that were outside the courthouse. Did you have any, did you run into any of them? Because I heard a lot of, there were a lot of agitators. And I believe I saw in another interview that you did that you said somebody was out there and you said something about they kept coming back or something. And you asked them, like, what were they doing? And
it's just really weird that we just turned on each other. It's just really sad to me.
In a row, and they would just ride the parking lot. You had some people that came, and there's a video of that. They kept coming, and one of the people that was out there with us was like, "What are y'all doing?" And they started.
We got to get on code. Y'all listen. This is serious. This is serious. You listen.
Indicators for KarmeloAnthony came out of the courtroom before he was actually sentenced or before he was actually found guilty while they were deliberating, went and got something to eat, and they were riding the parking lot laughing and doing the same thing that Sarah Fields and her people were doing with their kids in the back seat, laughing at the signs because we had plenty of signs out there. And when he was found guilty, and that same individuals that used to advocate and still right now advocating for him were out there laughing. And they told their followers that they were actually in the courtroom when he got sentenced. They lied because they were outside with us looking at us, cuss me out. Roll by, cuss me out right quick.
That is so weird. It is so strange.
Paid and out there, certain things to here out there because it was theoretically peaceful. Even with some of the Metcalf people that showed up until Jake Lane showed up with his little protest moment that got him ultimately arrested on the $1 million bond he in there locked up for right now. And just people like that came out. So it was a lot of agitators, a lot of paid people, and it was a young lady and a man in the car. They just kept riding. So I went to them, asked them if they needed anything to drink.
That is so deep. And one would have to ask, why would you put so much energy and so much effort in trying to distract and try to hinder and to try to stop this?
So the Metcalf twins, the kids that were there, it was just deeper. And I understood that it had a deeper meaning that was past all this moment because a lot of those people did not even care about Austin losing his life. They didn't even care about whether Karmelo did it in self-defense or not.
Wow. And that's deep because, again, the community, they all know each other. They know the family. I believe that family has been there generationally. So they know, again, you're talking about these children being in the same school district since they were in pre-K, right? Since they were born, perhaps. So, this family is known, just like Karmelo, since I don't believe he was born in that area. I think they relocated there based on some interviews that I've watched with the family. So again, the community is aware of the reputation that Karmelo established as an outstanding, hardworking student, talented, gifted young man. And also the people in that community know the reputation of the I forgot their names. What is it? Metcalf twins. So the family, they know, the Metcalf twins. They're also familiar with those twins and their family and their father and their mother and their dynamic. Right. So, based on what he said is saying like the people, the consensus is that they weren't really sad that he passed away, which is insane to me because it really speaks volumes that such a small knit community is not touched or moved by your demise. What is that saying? What is the deeper meaning behind that? If you were an advocate in your community or someone that did positive things or made gains or impacted lives or did good things or was a good person, if something was to happen to you, people would weep for you. They would mourn for you. They would support, it would be sad for the family. And to say that nobody really cared is insane to me. It's insane. And then on the other end, you know, there, like you said, there are some people that didn't care what happened to Karmelo. You know, there was just people, hey, it's just another black kid getting in trouble. You know, somebody may have had that sentiment. They may have had that mindset, or may have even said those words. And it's unfortunate, but that is the reality, because some folks are not paying that close attention.
They just cared about the opportunity to make money, to get their fame, and some for whatever ideological purpose or religious purpose or political purpose that they chose to do what they did in that
I
courtroom.
believe it did become political.
I don't understand that yet. I'm going to get to the bottom of it.
Crazy.
And that's what we're working on right now. But it's a greater moment than just these guys choosing to bully like they've been doing since the 4th grade and stepping up to Karmelo and doing what they did, because all the testimony in the court said that Ed.D, Ed.D, actually told Karmelo as he was walking by to go stretch, hey, come here, Melo, come here. And he came here and he sat down. They dapped up and they talked. And in between that, someone reached out to the Metcalf twins and other friends, and they came from the school area and they came over there and assaulted him. That's a fact. That's what's on the video.
Again, him talking about the details of the incident, how Karmelo was invited in the tent. Even if the kids that were in the tent after he was invited said that you got to leave, there are kids who in high school, I mean, somebody may be like, man, it ain't even worth it, I'm walking away. Somebody may be like that, but I don't think it went down like that. You know what I mean? Perhaps if it was calm and maybe if they were just being rude, then, you know, all right, well, you know what, man, I'll see you later. I'll go, you know, it's clearly, I think it probably went from 0 to 60 quickly. I don't think there was a lot of room to contemplate. And they said he asked him 16 times. I'm not convinced of that. I'm not convinced of that. 16-year-olds asking somebody 16 times, 17-year-olds asking somebody 16 times to leave. This is a generation, this is a microwave generation. Do we really believe that to be true? These kids, listen, they cannot wait for nothing. They can't even barely sit still in their chairs, let alone tell somebody the same thing 16 times in a row. I don't believe that to be true. So it is just bad, please.
That's what was said in the courtroom. How can you get from that and then the jury come back and say that the man is guilty of murder?
Again, him being invited in, everything being cool, it goes from 0 to 60. Somebody gets hurt unto death, and then all of a sudden, oh yeah, he did something, he did harm. Like it just doesn't make logical sense. No background story. No, he took my girl, and so I'm gonna fight him when I see him. They didn't even know each other, right? It's just weird,
right?
Because the fix was already in.
I'm glad you went there. So let's get into it. Tell us what you saw when you.
All right. So now he's going to describe what he saw in the video. Let's go.
See that Karmelo and other kids are already sitting up under the canopy, and it wasn't just Memorial kids sitting up under the Memorial canopy. It was other kids too, because all of them had friends around. You had the Memorial canopy. You had two canopies from Timberview. They're back to back, right next to each other, and then you had another canopy next to that. And so, right there, it was peaceful. You can just see kids sitting. The administrator that's there showing you the video tells you, hey, look right here in the top right-hand corner, because that's where you're going to see the boys coming from. And she's speaking of the 4. And you can actually see those 4.
One thing I want to say.
Again, I wouldn't mind hearing her again, but I want to respect and not have all of her commentary. But I do find it interesting, again, how they're framing this to be a 1-to-1 when it's like a 1v6.
Correct, because she's telling you all kinds of things. She's telling you it's a lot going on, because it's a lot going on. Kids are working out in the field. You can see some parents or grandparents sitting right up under the 40-yard line camera that's over on the home side. And the guy had his hand on his forehead like this the whole time, because he's looking directly at what's going on. You can see the raindrops coming down. And right when the twins, well, actually it was right when they were coming up, one of the boys veered off to the right. It actually was 2 of them, but on the camera, you can see one that veers off to go to the coaches to distract them. And then you see the other boys coming along. One goes in front of them and bypasses the little girl in the yellow poncho. You hear people talk about that all the time, which is EP's sister. She was sitting down there at the bottom. Then you see the 4 guys that come up and walk up. And so these 4 boys never sit down. They never do anything but surround Karmelo. And you heard in the
4 boys surrounding Karmelo.
district attorney was trying to get the witness to say, well, they weren't in in the U shape, they were in the L shape. You know, that's the type of contention they had, but they were actually surrounding him. So Karmelo is sitting down. Yeah, he was sitting down.
He's sitting down.
You could see the thinner boy, which is on the end, which was one of the little black boys. He was kept going up and down. So that means he was agitating Karmelo. You could see Austin Hunter directly in front of him, and the mixed young man was sitting over to the right. So they had him cornered in. He couldn't go anywhere. And so at this point,
so it was one before, my bad.
Austin actually pushes Karmelo, and he pushes him so hard until he falls back and hit the.
Wait, did he say Hunter?
Didn't go anywhere. And so at this point, they are sitting there. Austin actually pushes Karmelo, and he pushes him so hard until he falls back and hit the bleachers. Now in courtroom testimony, they said that he actually fell in the lap of another kid, but there was no other kid sitting behind Karmelo. So there's that. And so he did hit his head. He came back up, and once he hit his head and came back up, then you seen Austin.
Don't mean to cut you off. I do want to say this.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that we learned about Karmelo is that he suffered from seizures.
He did.
So you throw somebody and they hit their head, he could have lost his life.
He could have.
He had every right to defend himself because nobody knows where it would have went after. You know what I mean? After he hit his head, who knows?
So the seizures, the epilepsy, he had epilepsy, and then he also had an injury. There was a head injury previously and his shoulder or something.
Procedures. He also had surgery on his shoulder. He had injured it in football. And so he was recovering from that. They had just cleared him to go back to track and start running. So he had a lot of disadvantages. He was smaller than them. It was 2 big dudes there and 2 other dudes that played football. And then they had other guys that was around. It was a young man. I ain't gonna say his name, but he was filming the whole thing. That's the one that we see on Snapchat of the 2 minutes before. Everybody had the still pics of Karmelo sitting, and
so we know that there was some children that recorded it as well. They claimed they didn't have the videos though.
So you're saying that there's somebody on TikTok?
He's on. I said Snapchat. My bad. On Snapchat.
And you know, Snapchat come and go.
And he has this stuff online.
Correct. It's been shown all over the place, and a lot of us have the 6-minute video of him showing in the still shots. He has the full video, and also let's just be honest. A lot of people have seen his full video because it was actually out on Reddit. Some people seen it on their Snapchats. It showed, but it was a disappearing link, and they didn't know to record it. And so it's out there. I know this as well because here in the local area, on the 2nd of April, the 3rd of April, and the 4th of April of last year, we actually saw kids posted on their social media.
So he said on Reddit, the video is out there. One of the young people recording it put it out there sometime last year. So the full video is somewhere out there. Wow. So listen, sleuths, internet sleuths, come on, find the video, please. And let's get that sucker circulating so that we can all see the video.
And so we saw the fight. We saw the incident. They call it the fight, but it was the incident of Karmelo getting jumped. So we saw it until
again, Karmelo getting jumped. ED. Not a fight, but him getting jumped, harassed and jumped.
They scrubbed it and took it down. And so
they scrubbed it and took it down. Okay, so we won't be able to find it.
A lot of people still have that video. A
lot of people still have it. All right, maybe there's hope.
Still have that feed and that footage. It's just that they've gotten threatened. They've gotten all those things. It was actually alleged in court, so I'll say it, that Jeff Metcalf had actually did a whole barbecue for all the witnesses to come to, and that's where he threatened all the parents.
Whoa. So you mean to tell me that the father had the witness come to his house? See, again, when you're in cahoots with the judge, with the DA, with the court system, it could have never been the Anthony family. They would have probably had I hate to say this, but somebody probably would have got lynched. The double standard is what's sending me. It's sending me. The double standard is just simply just ridiculous. But to sit there and tell me that the father invited these witnesses to his home, and after whining and dining them, threatened them concerning the evidence for them not to circulate the evidence. It's just, child, y'all could let. I'm gonna let him cook for just a little while longer. Out of respect to her, I'm just gonna have to tell you guys to go to her video and go check it out and watch the rest of it, because it is a very good interview. I must admit, it's a very, very good interview. And even in this interview, he basically says that, you know, I think it was an elderly lady. I think that particular video is also circulating X, where she says he fell on the tool. He fell on the knife or whatever, that he fell on it. So again, they were scrambling. They were trying to get their hands on that young man. Was too quick for them. Though they were big, he was much smaller than them. So though he was manhandled, though he was being hit, though he was being pushed, he hit his head and all the things. And they were trying to grab his backpack and grab him back in when he was trying to get away. So he was trying to fight and fight to get away. You know what I mean? He was fighting to get away from them, because I believe that he felt like if the longer he was, you know, being hit and beat on, that potentially his life would be, that he felt he was in, I believe that he felt that he was in danger. And he was scrambling. He was trying to get away from them. I think he's going to say that he tried to come out and they pulled him back in. They went into his bag. So I believe that in that process, the tool might have fell out and he might have had it in his hand. And according to the lady on X, he fell on him. Again, all that pushing and pulling and them trying to fight the boy, in the midst of all the commotion, he probably self-harmed himself. In the midst of all that commotion, it's just that he had the tool in his hand. So if anything, you know, it was the circumstantial. It was an accident. People want to say it's malicious. To me, it's hard to prove malicious intent when, number one, there was no history. Number two, they came to him. He didn't come to them. Number three, like, are we for real right now? Like, it just makes absolutely no sense. So let's hear a little bit more, and then we're going to have to end it, and then we can maybe talk a little bit more, and then we'll go ahead and end this. I don't want to make it super duper long.
And so that's something that we contended and said last year. They actually brought it up in court, so I'll say it here. And so those are things that happen. So you can see them actually jumping him. The first person to throw a punch was Hunter. Hunter cold-cocked the boy, and that's when they jumped on him.
That's funny that you say that, because right before you joined, I said this.
Yeah, so they're saying that Hunter was the one that pulled the first punch. And after Hunter, which is the surviving twin, the one that is still here, he's the one that punched him first. He's the one that started the fight. When he punched him, based on the evidence, based on that video that was not allowed to be seen fully in the court of law, Hunter punched him. Then they commenced to jump him. And then the other brother got him.
Jeff Metcalf and Megan Metcalf definitely knows the truth, but they're stuck between a rock and a hard place, because Austin was their favorite child, and they know that Hunter is guilty of causing that man not to be here no more.
Interesting. So I think at the end of this, what is being said is that Hunter threw the first punch. The other boys began to jump him, and that includes the young man that was unalived. And he's saying that they believe the parents knows the truth, that Hunter started it. And then, of course, his twin brother is going to come in and get involved as well. And in the midst of the commotion, he was then unalived. I think it happened to be situational. I don't even believe that it was deliberate, but I believe that Karmelo just carries guilt because he had a part, because he was there. But again, he didn't start it. But in the midst of all of that, if you're a good person, you're going to hold yourself accountable and at least admit that, you know, it's just crazy. But it's interesting how he said that he was not the favorite. And listen, in families, it can get complicated, right? In families, it can get extremely complicated. And, to know that you're not the favorite, it's sometimes people seek attention, even if it's negative attention. At least those that are seeking attention and being deprived of attention, even if they can get negative attention. Especially those of us that are educators, we know we have students like that. Even if it's negative attention, at least they're getting some attention. And it's very unfortunate, especially when we see, the father's grieving, right? Potentially still grieving. His son obviously has been passed away for a little over a year now. Again, there's no cap or no time frame with grief. I've lost a child. The child was in my womb still. So don't know how it feels to give birth to one, that child be living, progressing, and then all of a sudden his life is snuffed. I don't know that feeling, but I would imagine it would be painful, being that I did lose a child, though the child wasn't born as of yet. But the display, I don't know whether it was on Instagram or whether it was on X or TikTok. I don't know where he was at. But the father going in and saying all the things that he said and what he's been doing, the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. And if that was the type of example that his boys received, it's really unfortunate, but it really speaks as to why they had such a difficult time getting along with different kids, why they found themselves in and out of trouble in school. I believe that they were suspended, or they weren't allowed to participate in the track or in the competition because they didn't attend a rehearsal or something. I'm not sure how true this is, but I heard this, and I think it might have been during this interview. I think he might have said it. So definitely go check out the full interview, because I think he did mention something about the twins. Technically, they weren't even supposed to be there because they weren't allowed to run because they missed practice or something like that. And then also there was an incident where I think the police were called, or the administrators were called, or a teacher was called because some girl felt like she was being bullied by the twins. So they were constantly in and out of trouble. You know what I mean? They were constantly in and out of trouble, and they had a reputation for bullying everybody. They were not biased in their bullying. They bullied girls, boys, you name it. I think somebody said that I think he said his hand or his fist is something with the fist being into, would fight girls or boys. I forgot exactly what right now. It slipped my mind what he said exactly. I think he said homosexual or something like that, or bisexual or something. I don't know. It was something to that nature where he mentioned something about, I guess anybody can get it. I guess that's basically what he was trying to say. But they had that reputation. So if somebody is moving in that way, and you are notorious for you Debo, you know what I mean, in your community times two, because y'all twins and y'all twinning and y'all going around pushing up on people, like, of course, people are going to feel away. And especially if you get away with a lot of the things, right? If you're not really truly being held accountable, but you're constantly getting baby taps and you're still being allowed to participate in the extracurricular activities because of who your daddy is. Now, trust me, I definitely was one of those students that benefited from a positive reputation of a father. Like, my father was known in the city. And when I got into trouble, because the folks that were in position at the time, they were right there saying, I know your daddy, you don't need to be here. What happened? And it was more like a slap on the wrist. Okay, well, you gotta, when something worse should have happened, perhaps it didn't, because of the favor, that I had because of my dad. But the difference between those situations between the twins and myself is I never started anything. It was more about me defending myself, right, from people that started it with me. So I felt justified. So even if my father did and was aware, which he became aware. He's like, well, did she start it? No. All right, then she's defending herself. So he would completely back me in defending myself. But unfortunately, in the cases with them, I mean, I think a cheerleader came forward. So people are now, coming forward and telling their truth about the family and about what they've experienced, as far as the bullying and whatnot. So it's very sad. It's very unfortunate. So I wanted to highlight LaKeysha. I want to make sure that you guys go follow her. Check out episode 26. The KarmeloAnthony was jumped. I saw the video Surprise Witness Tell. Make sure you go check that video out. Make sure you give it a thumbs up and share. All right. So I want to just really stress the fact that we need to get on the same page. Until you watch this video and others like it, try to withhold your thoughts and your opinions concerning the matter. And even if you have to take your words back and say, you know what, I was not aware that this video exists or that this story is being told. I thought that, the jury heard and saw what they needed to see and they made a decision. And so no, obviously that's not always the case with jurors. You know what I mean? They don't always make the right decision. And even though the judge is supporting the decision, and he even, the judge went as far as, I think he did an interview shortly after the ruling, which is really unprecedented. It doesn't happen often. And then during that interview, I believe he said that he agreed with, their judgment. But here's the thing. It's the fact that he's close to their family. It's a conflict of interest. And that's another thing. And this stuff is being uncovered. This stuff is coming to light. It is a conflict of interest. So we don't know if you're just saying that because you're cool with the child's father's family, or whether you're saying that because it's true. Because based on this video, the whole defense needs to be thrown in the trash because none of it seems to be true. So, and if you allowed it, because I'm assuming, because they had the video, because they requested it from the library. So I'm not sure if the judge saw the entire video or not, but based on how everybody's been moving, based on the past, not to say that people can't change, because people can change, but some of the allegations with pedophilia and not pedophilia, molestation and harassment with the DA, like, I don't know what to believe about these people's characters. You know what I mean? I don't know if, these people are people of good standing and they're going to tell the truth, nothing but the truth, or help them. I don't know. Help me, God, help them. I don't know if they're really real about that. Because based on what's been coming out since the moment the ruling has been reported, everything but that has been coming up to the surface. So, therefore, we need to see what's going on so that we can make a determination for ourselves. And in the meanwhile, we really do hope and pray that the family gets the right type of representation, for that appeals. And again, appeal when it comes to, because I've had several things appealed in my lifetime. Appeals do not, retry. That's not the purpose for appeal. The appeal is to determine if the judge did his or her job. It's also to determine if any policies or protocols were violated, or whether the attorneys did their job. If anybody that was in position, if they did not properly do their job, if there was not proper justice executed, then that appeal can be pushed forward. But if everybody did the right thing, you know, all the things, then but thus far we're already seeing some discrepancies on, number one, the attorney that represented Karmelo. Everybody's looking at him sideways. Even, again, trained attorneys, based on what he did or didn't. There were some things he did not do, a whole lot of things that he did not do. He did not properly defend him. I believe there was some, again, experts that were called. They were never called to the stand. He didn't have a closing statement. And again, we all know about the jurists, being either white or white adjacent. So, again, that part may not be as much, it can be brought up, but I think what has been said by other attorneys is combined, all the issues combined can be brought up. And then that's why, and there's been questions, and even in this interview, there were questions with regards to why was, it expedited. Why did, literally he was sent to the prison that same day. And they said that's unheard of. And then even in this interview, that's why I want to encourage you to go watch it. I believe he even mentioned something to the effect of he intercepted, because the place where Karmelo was supposed to go, the prison, the original prison assignment was to a prison where the father's brother, Metcalf's brother, is the warden. So that's also in this interview. And the gentleman said that they intercepted, the brother Dwayne said he intercepted that. He found out where he was going, and he made a request as an advocate when he reached out to, the people, the family, whatever, to request that he be moved where it would be safe, to another location. And then they moved him. So I think that, when those prisoners got off the bus or what have you, and they did not see Karmelo, I think that they was disappointed, because I think they had some plans for Karmelo. And just think about that for a moment. And think about the rhetoric of the father on that live, talking about there's different types of justice. There's street justice. There's different types of justice. Honestly, and this is what the gentleman said, and shout out to, not all sincerity, shout out to Dwayne, and shout out to, I just want to highlight them one more time, to LaKeysha for this interview, because it shed so much light on the situation. But the mere fact that he stepped in to help to make sure that he would be safe, that's everything. Because you and I know, let's be honest, if the father's talking about street justice and you have blood relatives working at the prison, I've known people that worked at prisons, and how, again, the blind eye is turned. People have gotten hurt intentionally in prisons, whether it be by the staff or whether it be by the inmates, where they turn a blind eye. They may even give the inmate something to do harm to you, and then they take the fall, but they give them leniency. And this young man don't know nothing about that life. So we need to keep him lifted and the family lifted in prayer. And then let's also pray for the Metcalf family, seriously. Because again, they want revenge. But the truth of the matter is that the other twin is the one that caused all the havoc. Based on the video, he's the one that threw the first punch. And all those, him and his brother and those that were with him, started jumping on Karmelo. So unfortunately, when there's a Bible verse, and I'm going to say this, and it is a true statement. When you live by the sword, there is a potential right? And I'm just adding that part, but let me take that out. This is what Jesus said to Peter. If you live by the sword, you'll die by the sword. So you can't go in there stirring up stuff and think there be no consequence. And just like the elderly lady said, I'm going to play that if I can find it, because I know she had it in there in this interview. Or if I can't find it, wait. Hold a moment. Let me try to find it. Let me see, because I watched it earlier. Let me show a couple of the Breakfast Club interview. Let me just pause the parents for just a moment. Let me show the Breakfast Club interview. There's a couple of things I want you guys to go take a peek. The Breakfast Club interview, this is obviously the Anthony family. It's the father and the mother. Go check out that interview. I have yet to watch it in its entirety, but go check that one out. I'll be sure to put that in a reference, okay? And then also, let me try my best to find the one with the lady. Hold a moment here. Let's see. Hold on a minute, y'all. Let me see if it can pull it up. Here it is. Okay, perfect. Oh, I found it, y'all. Okay. I'm trying not to show it though, friends. I'm trying to respect the lady. So let me just play the audio only. Okay, hold on, let me find it.
Track cleats with?
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah, so he never bought a knife.
He never killed that child. He failed.
Yes.
He fell on him. And the knife he had the knife in his hand.
Well, it wasn't a knife.
What was it?
It was a tool that they tighten up their track cleats with.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah, so he never bought a knife.
Yeah.
So that came out in the courtroom yesterday. That
it never was a knife.
You don't want to sit down?
Richard, can I get my phone?
Yes.
Let me just
Yeah, because I don't want you to fall.
Well, I'm not going to fall. I'm standing. I'm not going to fall. I'm not moving. I've got my legs up.
You say my legs still.
Say my legs
My legs are, well, they don't. But and if I can sit down, I'll be happy.
Yes.
But anyhow, that's what I'm here for. And I was hoping the card is not out yet.
Right. We're probably going to get out around 6 o'clock.
That's what I thought. That's what they said. And we've got another hour. And I just want to, I'm not going to. What's your name? Kathy.
Thank y'all so much. And sir, thank you so much. Very much so.
Let's replay it again.
That child.
Yeah.
He never killed that child. He failed.
Yes.
He fell on him. And the knife he had the knife in his hand.
Well, it wasn't a knife.
What was it?
Okay, so as you can hear, I don't know if you were able to hear the audio, but she was saying that he, Karmelo, did not harm him. That it was circumstantial. He fell on the knife. Remember, as the gentleman was describing the commotion, the other twin hit him, not the one that passed away, but his twin hit him first. And then the other boys, including the young man that passed away, jumped on him. So the four jumped on him, fighting him. In the midst of the commotion, Karmelo tried to get away and they pulled him back in. And I think one of them grabbed his backpack. And I think that tool that had the little 3-inch knife or whatever, the 3-inch cutter on there, he had it in his hand. And unfortunately, the young man fell on the knife. Austin fell on the knife, according to this elderly woman. that saw the video. Okay, that's how she knows, it's because she saw the video. And so the gentleman, that when she said knife, he corrected her and he was saying that it was a tool. And that's another thing, because people kept asking, well, why did he have the knife? Why did he have the knife? Based on those that, have children that run track. And again, this is the people that are a part of the community that is aware of why he had the knife, was because they used the tool to help clean their cleats. My son ran track, I ran track. We didn't have cleats during that time when I ran track, but my son did have cleats when he ran track. And obviously when you have cleats, they because you're running on that grass and stuff, if you're running on grass, depending on what you're participating in, but you can possibly get the dirt in there while you're running, or grass or whatever. It can get dirty, so you would have to clean it out. And so they use that tool to clean it. So I'll let that play one more time, and then I'm going to go ahead and end this live. I think we've heard enough thus far, but y'all need to.
It was a tool that they tighten up their track cleats with.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah, so he never bought a knife.
So they tighten and as well as clean. And so they use the tool. So, and again, him having the tool, just like other athletes that ran track, that wear and wore cleats, has this very similar tool or something close to it. So, again, a lot of misinformation surrounding this case. I would recommend everyone do your due diligence before you start telling people what is and what ain't, you know what I mean? Before you start making judgment, before you start name calling, before you start fighting and arguing with people in the comment section, do your due diligence first, right? None of us can go there and explore and fill out the paperwork, even though there were some folks that did that. Some people flew there, filled out the paperwork so that the Freedom of Information Act, so that they can get, this and that, the transcripts, get this and that and the third, get the video, because they were very interested in the case, because they felt, that it may potentially go in the way that that it has gone. I mean, again, you can't look at this and then, unfortunately, because of the history of our country and the history between Black people and the judicial system, okay, our court system and the policing and all the things, we just have a different lens. We have a different purview when it comes to these types of things. And then we have our own experiences, you know what I mean? So it's kind of hard for us to walk into these situations naive and ignorant, because we know what time it is. Like, yes, if you, for example, and I'll leave this with you all, and then I'm going to bring this conversation to a close. Let's give the example of policing. Now, growing up, we did not have an overly policed community. I did not have that growing up. But I did move into areas later on in my young adult years that were over policed, or I had friends that lived in neighborhoods that were over policed, or I had family members that had run in with the laws. They felt they were over policed or they were abused by police. But I personally did not experience that. And then later on, I lived in a community, raised my own children in a community where the police were a part of the community. They lived in the community. The captain of the police, his son was in the same class with my son. My son won something from the DARE program and took a picture with the chief of police. So they knew my son. So it's like, and then when there was a situation, like, because they saw my son, knew my son, saw me around the community, there was no ill will. Like, the approach was different. Like, is everything okay? Like, is there something that we can do to help? You know what I mean? As a servant to the community, because it was a predominantly white community. Let me just make it plain and be honest about that. It was not a predominantly Black community. But I will say that the community that I'm currently live in is predominantly Black. and so is the police. And again, it's not over policed where I'm at currently. So, but at the same time, because I've had, friends that were in their communities that were over policed, and they've had horror stories regarding police abusing, their authority. I'm not ignorant to it. So when people say, police look at us differently, they treat us differently, I'm not going to fight you on that, because I'll be like, well, because I believe that is true in your community. Just because it's not happening in my community, I'm not naive to believe that it's not happening at all. But if you've never had that before, you don't have a point of reference of over policing or abuse of authority. That's weird, strange. That's an oddity. That is something that you've never ever experienced, never ever dreamed of experiencing. Kids grow up in your community. You never experienced that your uncle, your dad, your cousin, your brother, your sister, whatever, they're all either in the military or a cop, or you grow up saying that you want to be a police officer. Like, that's the norm in your family. So for you, it's going to be like, here we go. You're always complaining, because that's not your story. That's not your experience. So it's hard to relate, and you will look at that person and begin to like, no, I don't believe you like that, because that's not my reality. Well, just because it's not your reality doesn't make it not true. And so same with this situation, because we as Black people in America have been discriminated against. We have experienced racism in many different forms, in many different ways. When we see it, we see it. When we know it, and we feel it. Now you're talking about generational trauma. We feel it. We can feel it in our bones. And one thing about Black people, we are a feeler community. We feel vibes. Our music is feeling music. It's just, that's how God made us. So when we be like, something ain't right, you best believe we know something. We don't know something, but we know something. And so when I heard about this story, I'm like, something ain't right. Now that everything is starting to come out, I'm like, it's just confirming what I felt, what I sensed, that something isn't right. So it's appearing like a cover-up. It appears as if the other brother was involved in many ways that caused the demise of his brother. And Karmelo is taking the fall. And also because none of the other young men were charged, because they should have been, all of them should have been charged, and they should have investigated the situation involving everyone. But instead of that happening, he became the guy, the only person that have been the focus. That's why this trial took so long. I felt like they had to low-key craft a story, a narrative pointing towards him being the aggressor, pointing towards him. They had to create something, because none of that stuff exists. The evidence wasn't there. So they had to narrow that video that they showed. This is me speculating at this point. This is my speculation. They've had to narrow that video. They edited it down to the moments of just him trying to get away and him being more assertive, more aggressive, trying to get out of that situation, making it appear as if he's the aggressor, when you actually take the time to watch the whole entire video, you'll see that that was not the case. As a matter of fact, you will see, just like it was said, that Hunter was the first person that hit him. And this is a 6 foot, 200 something plus pound young man that probably hit him with all of his might. And I think he was also put in a chokehold, you know, amongst other things, in addition to all four of them jumping on him. And regardless of how he tried to escape, they pulled him back in and they continued to tear into him. And unfortunately, when again, in the midst of the chaos, he fell into what was in his hand, which he probably got it out of his bag to try to defend himself. Maybe if I stab him in the arm, maybe if I stab him in the leg, maybe if I hit him real quick, I can quickly get out and run away. Who's to say what was going on in his mind at the time? It's fight or flight. And again, no experts spoke to a person being, that's like somebody being raped. And then them saying to you trying to stop somebody harming you in that way, and you happen to harm them and it became fatal, and them saying, well, you should have just took it. Like, what? It's just crazy talk to me. It's just, like I said, it's unfortunate, but we got to deal with the circumstances, bro. And I just feel like it's again, because the gag order, remember, they couldn't talk the whole time. The gag wasn't lifted until the trial was done. So yes, now they can freely have a conversation about it. So people say, why now? Because it was a gag order. They could not. They were basically threatened that if they did, they would be locked up. And also the family, they couldn't even say anything. And that's a horrible, I can't say anything. Because again, why? Why are we going to great lengths to cover this up? Because something ain't right. Something ain't right. So let us pray. Let us pray for everybody involved. May the Lord continue to protect Karmelo. The brother does say in the interview that, a few of them have some connections inside and he is safe. And that's good to know. And one of the things I love about us is when we get behind each other and we are all on the same page, on code, man, nothing can stop us. Nothing can stop us. And when we have it in our mind, we got you. And that is one thing about the community. And that's what makes our community a little bit nuanced than other communities. We can have community members that's doing something nefarious, but then we can have somebody that's going to be something one day that's smart, that's just exceptional. And we'll keep you out of the mess. We'll keep you out of trouble because you're not supposed to be over here. You're supposed to be over here. And then we can still coexist with an understanding. And that's the interesting dynamic about our community. And so everyone probably been keeping up with it to a certain extent, and or they may know about the details of this case, and they may see it too, that he's a good kid and he got caught up. And so they're going to protect him. And so that's good to know. But we're going to continue to pray for him and his family. Again, that the truth comes out. The truth is the full video. The truth is the truth. If they were wrong, they were wrong. If those twins, they started it, listen, accountability is what it is. And that's what being a man is. It's about holding yourself accountable when it's appropriate. As angry as the parents might be, but again, your children are the ones that got caught up in this mess in the first place. They brought the trouble. The trouble came to them. They're suffering the consequences. It's sad. It's unfortunate. It could have been avoided, but it wasn't. So to sit there and then now blame the young man for something your child did to himself, if that is true, if that is the case, it's sad to me. It's sad to me. The Bible says, and everybody claims to be a Christian, but when it counts, Bible says, vengeance is mine. That's what the Lord says. He said that he will repay. If you call yourself trying to revenge, for what? For why? He's the one did it to himself. If he fell into that tool, and that's what punctured him in the way that it did, he asked, unfortunately, I hate to say it, but they brought the trouble to themselves. One more thing, the medical piece. I think it will be discussed in this interview about the mom getting to the hospital before the ambulance. I think they said the reason for that, they were saying how I guess the twins were bothering someone before the incident. Like there was a situation before the incident. So the parents were called. So that's why the mom was so close. But they said on the interview, the mom lied. That's what they said. But the gentleman's confirming the reason why she beat them, and she arrived at that hospital. Everybody knows where everything is in terms of miles and how much time it takes for you to get here, there, and everywhere. When you're in a small town, that's just how it works. So the fact that she beat the ambulance was she was very close to the hospital initially, meant that she was near the school, okay, another school, a middle school or something. And so they said that they went to a further hospital because when they had gave him blood or did something to him, he appeared as if he was reviving. Like it seems like that he was flushed prior, and then he began to be a little revived. And so they opted to go to another hospital versus the closest hospital to the school, to the event. They went to one that was farther away. So he didn't pass away until he arrived at that other hospital. He did not pass away at the scene. And then there was another thing that some contradictions with an interview. I think in this particular interview with LaKeysha, she does have the mom, with the other twin, with her twin son, like being interviewed. This was like early on, like right after the incident. And based on how they're asking him questions about the incident, he's saying, there was a lot of blood that shot out. And so the gentleman that is being interviewed in this situation is saying that there wasn't a lot of blood because that knife, or the tool, this is what Dwayne said, it only went so far because I think it was only 3 inches. So it was relatively small. So with that being said, again, unfortunately, that's maybe why they did not allow him to testify, because I think that was another thing they were trying to hide from everyone else, is that he didn't see anything. He wasn't there. But in the video, he's the one that made the first punch. So again, I think it just would be better if they would have just told the truth and let the chips fall where they may. I think that a lot lesser would have happened, and might have been a faster resolve, and we wouldn't have to be having this conversation today. Yes, they would have to mourn their loss, and you can't bring him back, but at least people can get closure rather than being scrutinized by everybody in the country and your reputation, your family's name, because of everything that you're saying and everything that you're doing. It's just going from bad to worse. So my prayers are for peace, and resolve, justice. Because again, if this was their child that was involved in a situation where they were accused of they would want to fight for their child. So don't get mad at the other family for fighting for their child. Because if the shoe was on the other foot, you will be trying to fight for your child. Or if it was me, or if it was someone else, you will be wanting to fight for your child. And if somebody took your child's life, or you felt or believed somebody took your child's life, and you had a chance to see the truth, I would hope you would have enough wherewithal, enough moral character to be like, you know what? I see what happened. My child was the aggressor. My child fell into that tool, and his life ended because of other health. But he had a heart condition. That's what I was going to say. It just slipped my mind. Something about his heart. Something about the twin, the the Metcalf, what is it? Metcalf twin, something with his heart. He had a medical condition. That's what people are saying, that he did have an underlying medical condition, which probably contributed to his demise, not just the the piercing of that tool. There were some other health issues that he had. So I'm just saying, as parents, if you know that to be true, you're going to have to accept the truth that your children are troubled. And maybe you can get the one that remains, him, the counseling that he needs so that he can get healed. I don't know. All the best for everybody involved, and may peace rest and rule and abide. That is my constant prayer. But it's unfortunate. But as far as a race war, no. No. We as Black folks specifically, we're smarter than that. I don't care what goes on in the zeitgeist, like online. No. A lot of it's more conversation and more chat. I'm not saying that there aren't, some hothead people out there that will take it off of the internet and bring it into real life. There are some people that are interesting and deranged and have mental health issues. Yes. But the majority of us have enough common sense to know that sometimes people are just being hard because they are indeed behind the keys. And that when it came to real action, that they're not going to put nothing in, they're not going to do nothing to anybody because they're not on that type of time. Everybody knows that. But again, you may have one or two people that may have some mental illness that may take it a step beyond, because it's just a reality show, like being lived. It's on this internet. People are acting like what they really not. People pretending to be what they're really not, talking crazy, whatever, because they feel like they can, because they're in the comfort of their own home and they're protected. But in real life, they would never repeat some of that stuff. And then some people would, but I would say the majority of folks are the ones that would not repeat it to somebody's face, at least unprovoked. They would not. You know what I mean? So with that being said, don't fall for the trap. Don't fall for the okie doke. Don't fall for the bait. If people want to argue and fuss and if people want to, do that in the third, then it is what it is. Don't get caught up in that stuff. Don't do that. Try to avoid it at all costs. That's what I would strongly recommend that you do. And and sane. Trust me, when I started doing social media, and in the beginning, it was all kinds of craziness. I mean, craziness. And there were times when I had to shut off my comment section. There would be times when I had to, just log off. I don't think I've ever deleted a page or anything like that. It was never that bad. But there were times, especially political times, where you say one thing and all of a sudden, you have all those, and before we didn't know what it was, but it just seemed so weird because it almost seemed robotic. And now we know they're bots. Before we didn't know what they were, especially on X, on Twitter. Like, why are all these negative comments just coming out of nowhere? It's the algorithm. And those bots, the moment you mention keywords or key whatever, then those bots will automatically go to your page and attack them. And so we didn't know much about that back then. See, now we know. So we know how to deal with the trolls. So I'm saying that to say, as you share, as you comment, as you continue to promote this case and share what is now we're learning to be the full video and the truth, just be vigilant. Don't be bothered by the crazy stuff that they're going to say, because they feel like they only say those things because they think that it's going to get underneath your skin. But when you build tough skin, right, and dismiss what they're saying and dismiss them, be dismissive, don't regard, don't acknowledge, don't feed it, don't give them fuel, trust me, they're gonna walk away because they have no other recourse. All right. So much love to everybody. Much love and grace and joy and peace and all that good stuff. We're so here for you. We appreciate you. I know I do. When I say we, meaning all of YouTube, when you come by and you check us out, you watch our videos, you give us a like, you subscribe, all for free, but you still take time to do that. That's love. So I just want to say I appreciate you. When you do that, I know that consistently speaking that we've been doing our prayers and intercession, but I do need to create more videos, especially on relationship coaching. We'll do more of that soon. But I just want to say, hey, thank you. Don't forget to like this video. Give us some hearts if you're going to be watching from Facebook or other socials, and or subscribe, comment, tag, and share. Thank you. Until next time, God bless and